Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of Priceless Backstories. I'm your host, Amy Price Bromberg, and I am so happy to be here with you today. As we're coming off a 4th of July weekend, I truly hope that you're enjoying your summer. This week is the start of a Women's Soccer World Cup, and there's some neat news from our very own Aubrey Bledsoe Kingsbury as she got called up to be a goalie on the women's national team. My team at Athletes in Action mentored Aubrey through AIA in her time playing soccer at Wake Forest in North Carolina before she went pro. She's just an awesome gal who's living for Christ, and she's an incredible soccer player. Check out Aubrey and her team this week as they play July 26th at 9 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Aubrey asks us to pray that God takes center stage and that players, fans, and the media will personally encounter Him. It's so exciting to think that she's got this sweet opportunity of a lifetime. Well, we have a great show in store as we talk with one of the coolest teachers I know, Mrs. Sandra Dowdy. I hope you stick around to the very end. Guys, if I could hang out for an hour with anyone, Mrs. Dowdy makes the list. She was my 9th grade Spanish teacher. She's so fun and inspiring, and she just loves people so well. You're in for a treat. Before we get into today's conversation, I've got to tell you about the newest book that's coming out on Amazon this week. She's a Priceless Backstories guest and a friend of mine and a friend of the pod. Tanya Motorin has written a book, and it's hitting the shelves on July 29th, 2023. I've read it myself, and it's truly incredible, authentic, spirit-filled, and practical. The book is called Covered, My Breast Cancer Story and Practical Insight for Yours. And it has such a pretty design on the front. Tanya shares in episode 3 on the podcast that it's the book she wished she had when she was first diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018. You can pre-order the ebook on Kindle anytime, or with one click, you can order it on Amazon today, starting July 29th. Get one for you, get one for a friend, and you'll be glad that you did. Don't forget to check out Tanya's story on episode 3, and please share it with a friend or on your socials. Now to today's episode with Miss Sandra Dowdy. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. That's always surprises me if somebody says I was one of their favorites. I don't know why. But you're all my favorites. I always have kids. I'm your favorite, right, Mrs. Dowdy? Especially between siblings.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Yeah. So Mrs. Sandra Dowdy, so she teaches at Lincoln View High School, junior high school here in Van Wert County. And how many years have you been teaching?
30, actually. I substituted for a full year up in Williams County, and Paulding County, and then I've been at Lincoln View for 29 years. So this will be my 30th year at Lincoln View coming up.
Very cool. And you're not only teaching, you're also coaching.
Yes.
Right, this past year. So tell us more about that as well.
Yep. Oh boy, I've been helping with the junior high track and field for, I'm not even sure, 15 to 20 years probably. I'm not even sure. I like it, so I don't keep track, I guess. But yeah, track and field, it was my favorite sport. Turned out to be my favorite sport. I almost didn't do it even in school, but you know how your friends talk you into coming along with them. So yeah, that's how that happened, and I love it. And I love doing the junior high year because it's new to all of them. It's not something they might have been in previously. Everybody's on a level playing field for the most part. It's new to everybody.
Yeah, they're all trying out track, right? For the first time.
I tell them there's no bench to sit on, come on out. I'll find something for you to do. You don't want to run? That's okay. You don't have to run. Jump for me or throw something for me.
Yeah.
I'll find something. Just come hang out with us.
That's great. Did you have a track background at all or not?
So I did track in junior high. Okay. That ended up happening because I played basketball, and my friends were gonna do track, and they said, come on, and I said, okay, I'll come along. Well, I was pretty ordinary, and I thought, okay, well, that was fine for junior high. I'm not going to do that in high school. my friend, I can still remember my friend Tammy saying, "I don't want to go by myself. Please come with me to the first practice." And I thought, oh, gee, okay. And stuck with it. And I don't know what happened. Somewhere between junior high and high school, my speed kicked in, and uh, I ended up in regional finals a few times. And
Really?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of heartbreaking to be fifth at regionals.
Fifth at regionals?
Yeah, because the top four in track go on to
Oh,
state.
okay.
So I missed it by 800ths of a
So what
second
were you running? What?
in the
The
200.
200. Wow. So
Hmm.
half a lap.
That was my junior
Yeah.
year. My senior year, I pulled a hamstring in regional finals
Yeah.
of the 100-meter dash, and I
Okay.
had one of the top four times.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but that's, I think, maybe that person that would have gotten, wouldn't have gotten the chance to go. Maybe for some reason that
Uh,
person needed to go. I can say that now.
yeah.
Oh
You
boy,
weren't
for a
thinking that
long
as a
night.
13-year-old or
No,
yeah.
no way, no way. Not as a senior in high school.
Oh, as a
No,
senior
that
in high
was my
school.
senior
Okay.
year. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, I was thinking that was my last shot,
Yeah.
So, but
Well,
yeah.
I am so excited to have you on the podcast, and I genuinely mean that. What for the listeners, what you
Yeah.
might not know is one of the reasons that this is a special episode is that we are actually recording from your basement.
We're in my new basement here.
We are right here in
Mhm.
her home, and just as she's been showing me around, and this is a really significant part of her journey, as many of you maybe have had unplanned adversity in your life, or maybe some things that have been shaken up over the years. And she has been walking, yeah, more recently just through some adversity. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to get back to that in a little bit, but it's really cool that we're coming to you from her home right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So you're going to hear some stories behind that. Mrs. Dowdy, could you share with me a little bit about your family?
Yeah, sure. I grew up in Edgerton, Ohio. I
Okay.
went to Bluffton University. It was Bluffton College at the time. Now
Yeah.
it's Bluffton University, but met my husband there. Dated for 4.5 years. I never thought he was going to ask me to marry him. I
Hmm.
had kind of given up on that, but he did, and
Hmm.
we have two children. Callista is my oldest, and Justice my youngest. And Callista has two children,
Hmm.
Shaylee and Rowan,
Yeah.
and Justice is about to have his first child, Jalen. And
Hmm.
Callista's married to Mitchell, and Justice is married to Ashley. Ashley was a Lincoln View graduate also. So, and both my kids went to Bluffton University as well.
Hmm.
They
That's neat.
graduated with a bachelor's degree, in one of them in public health, one of them in business and sports management.
Hmm.
And then they decided to be teachers.
Okay. So it
So,
runs in the family, huh?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But my husband's a teacher at heart, really, as well.
Hmm.
He worked at Star Commonwealth for 20 years before they closed the Van Wert campus down. And
Hmm.
he was just amazing with the troubled youth. That is kind of how they,
Hmm.
you know, called it. We work with troubled youth. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's really neat too, because what I've learned about Star over the years, and
Mhm.
correct me if
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
wrong, but it's just the significance of the boys having men, to look up to.
Model.
Yeah, just
Mhm,
modeling what it's like to be a man,
mhm.
for the high school boys there at the Star, and
Yep,
and so definitely have a lot of respect,
yeah,
for what they've done over the years.
yep, yep, yep.
So,
Now he just recently took a, uh, job here for Van Wert County as the health commissioner at the health
oh,
department, so
okay.
that's what he's doing now. So,
Huh,
yeah,
very cool.
yeah.
Well, I got to see your grand kiddos upstairs, a
Yes.
couple of them. So, what is it like for you to be a
Oh.
grandma?
Oh, boy.
What's
Well,
that been like?
everybody kept saying it's just the best, and I remember when Shaylee was born, I didn't get to bring her home.
Oh,
So, to
yeah.
my home, Callista, my daughter, got to take her home, and I thought, "What
Wait a
is
minute.
so great about this?"
Yeah.
But as they get older and they start reaching for you, and then they start talking, and oh, just when they come every time. I
Hmm.
mean, I just saw them 2 days ago,
Yeah.
but as soon as they pull up and get out, "Grandma!" And it's just it's just awesome to get to be so fun, and I get in trouble sometimes.
You do.
Yes, I have learned that I do have to behave as grandma
What
and
is
not
what? How are you squirrely? Like, what? How do you get in trouble as a grandma?
so well. So, for example, at bedtime, they might be thirsty or want a
Oh,
little snack, and you know, mom says no. And then we stay up reading and playing a little longer, and mom has gone to bed. And I say, well, I'll just get you a little bit to drink or a little snack.
yes.
And then that would be fine, except for the next day when I was about to leave, I was over at their house.
Yeah.
Then they say, Mom, yeah, grandma let us. And I said, shh, you
Don't tell
guys.
mom.
Yeah. So I said, that's it. Do not ask me to break the rules. So, it just depends. It
Yeah.
just depends.
Well, it's got to be such a blessing though to be a
Oh, yeah.
grandma, getting to spoil your little
Yes.
grandkids, and
Yes.
I know for my mom that's been super fun. Just coming from a baby shower this morning, right? I
Yes.
was telling you,
Yes.
and Kurt and Trista are having a second daughter, and
Love
so my
it.
mom is over the moon and just loves
Absolutely.
getting to babysit their first daughter, Tinley, my little niece. So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
definitely a blessing.
So many people, their question
Yeah.
to me at first was, what will you be called?
Oh,
And I didn't even know that that was like such a huge thing. But I think people hear the word grandma and, you know, society says, don't age, don't age. And
yeah.
grandma sounds older. So,
Yes.
but my mom didn't get to be a grandma. She passed away when she was 53,
Hmm.
before I was even out of college. She
Yeah.
passed away.
Wow.
And so I say, call me grandma.
Yeah.
I don't, it doesn't bother me at all because it
Hmm.
is a blessing to get to be a grandma. So, yeah.
Totally.
But whether you're Nana or whoever, Gigi. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Hmm.
awesome. It
Yeah.
is. Yeah, that's touchy for me. You can see probably in my eyes.
Hmm.
But
Well,
yeah,
treasure these
yeah,
moments and these days
absolutely.
with your grandkiddos. So you are a woman who I would say is very passionate about teaching. But what I've seen, even just through friends that I know who had you when they were in junior high, or even my cousins' kids
Hmm.
who are now
Love
have
it.
you, right?
I
And a
love
whole
it.
other generation of kids. But I've seen your passion for teaching, but also I think a big part of it is just your passion for people
Hmm.
and for the kids. And even as
Yeah.
we were just reminiscing a little bit
Yeah.
ago about, how is this person doing? How's that person doing? Oh, it's so fun to see them thriving. And
Yes.
these are kids that you taught in Spanish class, right?
Yeah.
Nearly
Years ago.
15 years ago,
Oh yeah.
and so that's one thing that I have really appreciated. And I think there is something about when you're a kid or a student in the classroom and you see a teacher who's passionate about their subject, and
Mhm.
really wanting kids to understand and grasp, whether it's math or science or Spanish,
Mhm.
but also you can just tell they care,
Yeah.
about you as a person. And so some of the things that I remember, I'm going to do a little bit of coming back to Spanish
Okay.
class, okay, back in when I was in junior high. But some of the my favorite things were we had this match, like a dating game. You know
Yeah,
what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
I do.
That you did with us?
Yeah, and this was high school,
Oh,
actually.
I feel like it
It
was
would have
eighth grade.
yep,
So you
but it
taught
would have
freshman?
been
Okay,
freshman
maybe it was
year, yep.
freshman year. Okay.
Oh, yeah, Valentine's Day, and
Yes.
I modeled that after MTV. They had a show, and I modeled it after that, and it was a matching game, but
Okay.
I thought, "I can take that and turn it into Spanish and get these kids' attention," and
Yeah.
they'll be learning the vocabulary. So it was just a fun thing on Valentine's Day that we
Okay.
would do, and you would kind of pick what you preferred, tall or short, or so alto,
Or Pequeño?
or
Does that work? Or no?
pequeña is
Okay.
little,
Little?
yeah, or yeah,
So
so
you had
just
Gordo,
had
or what's the opposite
yeah,
of Gordo?
Gordo. Oh,
You got
it's
this.
been it's well, Delgada,
Okay. Somebody
Delgada,
fact checked us on this, okay?
Delgado,
Whether it's
Delgada.
skinny or
Yep,
maybe a
yep,
little more
yep. I'm
overweight.
pretty sure that's
Yeah,
it. Yeah, yeah. It's surprising how it comes back.
it
I
does.
did get to teach some junior high Spanish for a
Okay.
while, but this next year I'll be teaching ELA and math, and I've always said,
Hmm.
um, just tell me what you need me to teach. And, you know, the administration kind of does that. The year before that, I did a class of world history. I've done the
Oh,
Spanish, I've done some math, but my base right now is the language arts.
yeah,
I try to tell them to stay away from science. I
not so
feel
good.
like that's my weakness, but maybe
Okay.
that's why I should teach it. I don't know. But you're right in the fact that uh, just tell me what to teach. I just want to be with those kids.
Kids, yeah.
I just want to make connections with those kids and help them with whatever they need help with.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there are kids that they have enough people. They That Price family, I love that Price family.
Everybody shows up.
They
If you
show
go to a
up.
basketball game or softball game,
They show up.
the whole family's there.
So envious of that, really. Because I'm not from here, and we don't have a lot of family here to
Yep.
show up when my kids did that. But
Yeah.
but but the community takes you in.
Yep.
We'll talk about that more with what happened with our house.
Mm.
But then there are the kids who maybe don't have
Mm.
that kind of support system.
Yeah.
And the difference that one person can make, some people, I think, once in a while when I'd spend time with maybe a student that wasn't the best student, not the
Yeah.
best behavior, not the best choices, but I always, and maybe this is partly from Daryl, maybe his work at Star. I did summer school out there. Actually, I would teach out at Star in the summer and do summer school with those kids, and they were great. But I think the kids start to understand that I don't take their behavior and think that that is them.
Yeah.
I think, why is that behavior happening? What is going on? That's a result of something to me. And so what do they need from me? Or what resource can I get for them?
That's good. Like, what are they lacking, or what's their backstory? What's the
Exactly.
reality of
What's
right,
their
the backstory,
backstory?
but like
Yeah.
what's the reality of their family situation? What
Yeah.
are they looking for?
Mhm.
Whether it's a high school kid or it's an elementary student or whether it's a college student, right? We work with
Yep.
college students
Yep.
with athletes in action, but I think you're right on. There's typically like something that's happened in a person's life or something they're looking for,
Mhm.
whether it's like, I just want to be loved.
Yeah.
I just don't have a dad.
Yep.
I just
a
wish
huge one.
that people would see me.
Yep.
I feel like a mistake, right? All those things that
Yeah.
are at the heart level where it's like,
Yep.
that most likely is actually informing their behavior and ours as well, right?
Yep.
There's this, and
Mhm.
so I wonder
Absolutely.
when you hear the statement that people or kids typically don't really care a whole lot about what you know unless they first know that you
That
care.
you care about 'em.
Like, how have you experienced that even from when you started teaching to today?
At first, when somebody will ask me about, how the kids are different, and then I go, "Oh yeah, I've been teaching 30 years almost." I think to myself, the kids are still kids. There's a lot that is still the same about them.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, then I start thinking about, well, I I love that the mental health is being addressed more, and I know everybody's been talking about that now, like, for the last.
Totally.
But back, you think about when maybe you were in school at Lincoln View, I don't know that was very much talked about, but we could have told you, "Hey, I think this student, could use." I'm so glad our school has invested in, a full-time person at the school and a part-time person.
Yep.
And this is past our guidance counselors, because our guidance counselors, these are things that are past them. That
like beyond.
they need, these kids need more, and so
they need licensed professionals who know how to get
yes.
to the reality of the trauma they've experienced.
Yeah, and I think that you know, you can argue about whether you should demand respect from the student first and then you'll give them respect,
Hmm.
or whether if you give them respect, then you'll get the respect back. You can
Mhm.
argue about that,
Yeah.
which way. You can be hard-nosed about it. Kids are different. You gotta figure out what
Each kid, you mean,
each
is different? Like,
yeah, you just gotta figure
yeah.
out how to get them to really trust you. And, over the years, I've had people say, "Oh, I think you should be a guidance counselor," thinking, and I
Yeah.
say, "No, nope, because this is where students trust the trust is built."
Hmm.
They come to me and say, "Mrs. Dowdy, can I talk to you about something?" Then I can take them and get
Oh,
them to the resource that they need, you
totally.
know? So,
Yeah. It can be scary for kids, I'd imagine, to
yeah,
walk into the room for the first time with a counselor,
yeah,
let
yeah,
alone, like,
yep,
being in the classroom. It's like,
yep,
Mrs. Dowdy's here to teach me English and language arts,
right.
right? And in the process, you're getting to know them, caring for them, and seeing,
Mhm.
like, wow, they could use something more to really help them
Yeah,
work through this thing, right?
yep,
That's
yeah,
cool. And you're
yeah,
such a safe person. That really matters to me, I think, to have people in my life that it's like, I really trust you,
yeah,
like, and I want to be that person for others as well.
yeah. It's
So
a big it at times, it can feel like a big responsibility to
totally.
be that safe person.
Yep. That makes
So,
sense.
it's but yeah, kids today, you mentioned, maybe not having a dad, loss of parent, no matter how it is
Hmm.
that they lose them, maybe a death or incarceration,
Wow.
or
Yeah.
whatever it might be. We see that a lot.
Hmm.
I feel a lot more now. See a lot more grandparents and great grandparents caring, for
Like
these
raising their
kids,
children,
raising these
grandchildren.
kids. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah.
One thing that's neat, I think one way we reconnected was through Matt Langdon,
Yep,
who
absolutely.
coaches track
Yep.
at Lincoln View, and he
Yep.
also heads up FCA,
Yeah.
Fellowship of
Yep.
Christian Athletes,
Mhm. Yep.
for the high school students, specifically.
Yep.
And so Matt had called me up one day and said,
Yep.
"Hey," or maybe he emailed me, but said, I know you work with college athletes. Do you want to come back as an alumni and share your story?" Which
Yes.
was
Love that.
really impactful for me, just thinking about how, like, the next generation,
Yeah.
having some of my cousins as high school
Right.
athletes right there at Lincoln View.
Yep.
And so I remember showing up that day and seeing you and a couple
Mhm.
other, my um, Allison Hammonds
Yeah.
and a few other adults that I know. And so, like, with that, as well as one thing that's been neat for me to see continue at Lincoln View, which took a lot of work and a lot of prayer, is the Bible program. And
All right.
and
Mhm.
so my Aunt Eileen is such a
Yes.
big part of my story, and
Yep.
Mrs. Lucier, third grade teacher.
Yes.
And but there was a time where she, I mean, love her, went to be with the Lord, in
Mhm.
September of last year, 2022, that would have been.
Mhm.
But she and a couple others really trusted the Lord with, like, how can we have a space near the property of the school where kids could actually have the freedom
Yes.
to have a period where they can go and learn
Mhm.
about the Bible, learn about
Yep.
Jesus. And my mom volunteered, to
Yep.
among other volunteers, to even just walk a class of kids,
Yep.
because the teachers, I believe, were not allowed to do that with it
Right.
being a public school. And so I'm just wondering, I'm
Mhm.
thrilled as an alumni. I'm
Yeah.
like, in a person of faith, it's just awesome that the Lord is still preparing a way for kids to have that freedom.
Yeah.
But for you as a teacher and as a woman who is a believer and a follower
Mhm.
of Christ, like, how do you see faith playing into this generation? I mean, why is that so key that kids have the freedom to just grow in their faith in this
Yeah.
generation?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times, in particular, maybe the students that I was referring to before who might not have that support system,
Yeah.
they don't ever get exposed maybe to, faith. And
Yeah.
so that they get this paper at the beginning of the year. Oh, do you want to come,
Mhm.
once a week, and they start asking questions about, well, what is this? And,
Hmm.
so that provides, an opportunity to talk with them about that. We also had Youth for Christ start back up this
Okay.
past year, after school once a week.
Hmm.
Courtney Rager was heading that up.
Yeah.
And they used my room until after school until track season came.
Okay.
Then they went to Mrs. Miller's room
Okay.
and finished that up. But again, kids that just need to hear this, they don't have that kind of support. But you know what? I had a great family.
Hmm.
You know, bringing up my mom and dad were awesome. My aunts, uncles, cousins. But my mom and dad, when I was born, they did not attend church.
Oh,
They
okay.
did when my sister is 6 years older than I am,
Hmm.
and they attended church. I knew that because they would talk about it once in a while,
Hmm.
and I don't know why they stopped really, but my mom would always take me to VBS in the summer. Oh, loved
Go
VBS.
VBS.
I tell you, I know it's a lot of
Yeah.
work, guys, but keep doing your VBS programs.
Yeah.
And my Aunt Dolores and my great Aunt Ruth.
Hmm.
I would stay overnight with my cousins and my Aunt Dolores. They went to church every Sunday, and
Hmm.
I just admired my Aunt Dolores and in a lot of ways wanted to be like her. I think at times I thought to myself, I think I really belong to Aunt Dolores. Oh, but
Huh.
no, just she wore makeup and my mom didn't, and
Okay.
just kind
Yeah.
of that kind of thing. She took me to the mall for the very first time.
Wow.
I mean, it was big stuff.
Yeah.
But we would go, and I loved singing the songs, and I just loved church. My great Aunt Ruth would take me to church. I loved going downstairs to the little room, and we'd each have our own special packet, like booklet, and they'd
Hmm.
tear a page out. And well, I like school, so
This is
I'm a
coming
school
from a
teacher,
teacher. Yeah.
right? And
Totally.
I loved putting the little quarter in the basket when they
Oh,
would pass
yeah.
the basket around. And
Huh.
but even at home at my house, TV, watching TV on Sunday mornings, those televangelists. I know some of them were kind of crazy back in that time, but there are
Yeah.
some that I think back about. But
Hmm.
I would sit and watch them in front of my TV on Sundays and try to figure out what is this all about,
Huh.
So
That's really neat.
I call myself a VBS kid,
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just with the FCA, the Youth for Christ, the Bible
Hmm.
Board, we're fortunate that
Yeah.
we have these opportunities to explain or try, model what it is like
Hmm.
to be a believer.
Yeah.
I know a lot of times people will say, "Oh, keep taking God out of places," and
Hmm.
I just always say, "They can't,
Yeah.
guys. They can't take
Yep.
him out. He's everywhere.
He is.
He's there.
Hmm.
You know, I may not be able to freely say things at times, but I can show things. I can
Totally.
model. And I think kids, they know. They see through you quickly. They
Hmm.
know if you're authentic or not. And
Totally.
they know if there's something different about you versus others.
There's a security that comes with having a relationship with Christ.
Mhm.
There's an immovability when things happen in our life. It's
Yes.
like our testimony can speak for itself to see, like, why do you have peace? Why do you have joy? Like,
Yes.
if a person, which I is part of the reason that I really value transparency,
Mhm.
as we bring things in the light and say, this is genuinely what I've been through. And for someone to go, that doesn't make sense unless your faith is real.
Yeah.
And not just your faith, but unless you're the God, right, that you
Mhm.
have faith in is a
Yeah.
real God who
Mhm.
genuinely is bringing peace and joy and
Mhm.
contentment and all these things, right? Security. And so, yeah, I would love to transition us into hearing more of your story. I know I've kind
Yeah.
of teased right here on the
Yeah.
podcast that
Well, that's
that
perfect
it's
what you
coming,
just
but
said because
yeah,
peace, that verse about having that peace that transcends all understanding. Like,
yeah,
there's no reason why I should be peaceful in this moment.
no,
I should be a mess. Yeah. So it's actually in November, it will have been 2 years
okay,
ago that we had a fire at our house. It was during the day. Um, it was one where he had the turkey a fryer, the
Mm.
oil was warming up because a lot of people are like, "What happened? What
Oh,
happened?"
yeah.
So, um,
We've all seen This Is Us,
oh
and
yeah,
everybody is, like,
oh my
wondering,
goodness,
like, how did
yes,
all this happen, right?
yeah,
And
mm-hmm.
so
Oh, I love
but
that
this is your
show.
story.
Now this is us,
You're
yeah.
like, "It's the fryer, not the crock
He
pot."
has
Like
done it right. He has done that for 15, 20 years now.
Hmm.
Um, our pot was bad. He
Yeah.
said, we need a new pot. Well, they had a whole new set,
Yeah.
the same cost as you could just get the pot. So he bought a whole new set. Had checked the oil a few times to see if the temperature was, getting to the right temperature. And I remember him coming in and saying, "Oh my gosh, we forgot to buy oil. We don't even have enough to fill it up to the fill
Mm.
line."
Yeah.
Because sometimes people overfill it, and that's what gets people in trouble. But
So that
so he came in the kitchen, and that's where I was, and he was at the oven. He was putting all of his spices and things. He's a great cook. He was doctoring the turkey all up,
okay.
and he said, "Oh no!" And out the window, out our kitchen window, you could see smoke. So he immediately ran out into the garage and
Mm.
outside to see what's going on. And he said later, described the flames were coming up the entire side and higher up above the pot. It was just engulfed in the flames. And I heard him shout for my son Justice. All of
Yeah.
us were here. Justice came running. Um, then I heard Justice holler for an extinguisher. I passed the
Mm.
extinguisher to Callista. She got it to Justice. I heard Justice say, "I never saw the fire out there. I
Yeah.
never saw it, what it looked like." Um, I heard Justice say, "I can't get it." And so, I mean, the reason I didn't run out there, I had Rowan, my grandson, right
Yeah.
there. He was up on the kitchen counter
Okay.
helping with making, some good stuff for dinner. And um, so the turkey never made it even to the fryer. So
Mm.
the insurance and everybody, the investigators that came and everything, determined that the regulator was faulty on the fryer, meaning it's supposed to control the flow of propane,
Oh,
and it let loose and
wow.
it just
Yeah.
engulfed everything in the
Mm.
flames. The thing is, I just, with having Shaylee and Rowan
Yeah.
here at the time, I remember just immediately getting Rowan down and saying, "Hey guys, we got to go out of Grandma's house.
Mm.
We got to go out for a little bit, just calm as can be. Um, Nothing else crosses your mind in that moment, at
Mm.
least mine. I guess I always thought if anything ever happened, you'd think, "Oh, I need to get this. I need to get that."
Like, what's
No,
the first thing you would grab on the way out, right? We
right,
hear that hypothetical question, but in
right.
that moment, were you thinking about what's the first thing I need to grab? I need
Nothing.
my phone charger.
I
That wasn't
no,
on your mind,
no.
right?
I just happened to have my phone with me, in my
Hmm.
pocket. So had my phone with me, and I think we're athletes, muscle memory.
Yeah.
On the way out, my keys and my wallet were always sitting on the stand right there,
Okay.
and I just automatically grabbed them. I guess
Hmm.
I didn't consciously really think about it, but I'm so glad that
Yeah.
I did because I was able to move my vehicle away.
Oh,
And,
from the
so
house, yeah.
I remember Shaylee going, "Why? Why do we have to go out?" And I said, "We just have to. Let's get going." She'd been in by the Christmas tree. I
Mm.
never put my Christmas tree up before, like December, but that year I did.
Hmm.
Um, so we were, heading out, and of course at that time they say, they see the fire and they say, "Grandma, your house." And I say, "It's okay. Don't worry." My tone and my voice never changed. I'm just,
Hmm.
we're going to get in Grandma's Durango. We're just going to drive down the road a little bit. I just wanted to get them away.
Yeah.
I didn't really want them to see it, honestly. But yeah, they were going to see it. And so I probably drove just like a quarter mile down the road and we parked the vehicle and yeah, "Grandma, your house." And I said,
Hmm.
"Don't worry, Grandma will get a new house. It's okay." And I don't know if other grandmas are like me. I'm kind of a strange one at times, but I said,
Mm,
"Don't worry, guys. Hey, the fire department's coming. We're gonna get to see the fire department
mm,
come." I was trying to make it like this.
yeah.
I wonder if Paw Patrol's gonna be rolling in here to help
You're trying to
them,
it
you
sounds like
know?
you're even maybe trying to shield them
Oh,
in
absolutely.
ways,
Just
like, just from
trying
even
to,
having to see
yeah,
just
yeah.
the reality of
See it, the
destruction and
reality.
yeah.
Um, my granddaughter
Huh.
opened her hands
Yeah.
and she had 2 ornaments off the tree that
Mm.
were her mom's.
Oh.
That's one of the things I miss, my tree ornaments. The
Yeah.
little things the kids made,
Yeah.
or even like my mom's
Mm.
ornaments that, I would have had on there.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was one thing. And then a little reality hidden with her about oh, my blue dolphin, my dolphins, grandma, are in
Hmm.
there. And I said, "It's okay. The fire department's coming. Don't worry."
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. No,
and then
we were going to be doing this podcast back in February,
yeah,
right? It was
yeah, we were.
virtual
I
and clearly
know.
the Lord knew this was the time, right? Here in July,
Yes.
this is the time for the podcast. And I
Yeah.
bring that up because last February we had recorded and it actually didn't and we're not
Sound.
the only podcast. That happens sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like and
Yeah.
so but we had recorded and at that time you had shared like all I know is that there's boxes coming,
Yeah.
right? So
Yes.
that your home was completely is
Mhm.
that right? Like completely torn down? There was
Yes.
nothing really standing
No,
except the
the
basement was
foundation
still
of the
there.
basement.
Yep.
Yeah, and they just totally gutted that all out, and
And the home
that's
that we're in right
mhm,
now, they rebuilt, you
built back
said,
right
on
on
the
that spot.
foundation. We are in a room right now that is full of multiple boxes.
Boxes.
And so
Yeah.
I guess that would be about 5 months later. Of like, praise the Lord, every single one of
Yes.
your family members,
Yes. Yes.
right, walked
Yes.
out safe
Yes.
and alive.
Yes.
And so in the midst of that, there's the grief of losing
Yes.
your home sweet home,
Yeah.
and then there's a season of rebuilding that home,
Yep.
a new home on the same foundation. And
Mhm.
now we're here with boxes of things
Yeah.
that were found in the midst of the rubble, or have you would put
Yes.
that. So can you just
Yes.
share a little bit more about like what this season, like what has that been like for you? You're finding things maybe that you hoped you'd find. Maybe
Mhm.
there's things you didn't
There's
expect, but
yeah.
how's that
Yeah.
going for you?
Yeah,
Awesome.
good. I mean, we've taken it, obviously. We've taken our time doing
Yeah.
it, because it can get a little overwhelming. My son assigned us to do 2 boxes a day.
Mm,
And
2 a day.
yeah, 2 a day. Um,
Mm,
but for example, I just opened, one that had dishes in it that my mom, they'd always been in the hutch
yeah.
in the kitchen growing up, and I had that hutch in my
Mm,
dining room area with those kitchen,
yeah.
dishes.
Dishes.
Yeah, and, I opened that box and I said, "Wait, how that can't be.
Mm,
How do I have these dishes?" Because in my mind, I mean, I remembered seeing them covered with the black soot.
mm,
I mean, and so apparently it came off of those okay, but I thought so many of them were shattered, and I was like, "I can't believe how do I have all of these pieces to it, the coffee
mm,
cups and everything." I'm like, "Oh, I'm now I need to get something to display them in because the hutch is not in good shape." My husband was gracious. He allowed me. It is, I still have it. It's in a storage unit along with my grandfather's Edison record player
mm,
and a few other things that just at the moment I said, "Can we please just hold on to it just for a little bit?
yeah.
Let me think about this and let me see if anybody thinks they could restore this or save this." The Edison player actually still plays, but the
Oh,
case of it is
huh.
destroyed. So,
Yeah.
you know, is there one out there that looks like it, but the
Oh,
inside doesn't work? That kind of thing. So my husband was gracious and let me, he knows I'm just very sentimental,
sure.
you know, don't have my parents anymore. So those things are precious to me. So one thing I'm still hoping to find is a little red diary, those ones that they gave you like 5 lines to write what you did all
Yes. Yeah.
It was from 1973. I was 4
Wow.
years old, and my mom wrote in there.
Oh.
So, you talk about handwriting. I talk
Hmm.
with the kids about handwriting,
Keep it
and I
legible.
say
Go
yeah,
ahead.
it's part of your personality,
It
and you
is.
see that handwriting of that person, and
Hmm.
you just know their handwriting. You
Yeah.
just know it. Um, so I'm hoping to come across that because I was 4, and she
Hmm.
wrote down all the things like Sandy and I went to the store today, or
Hmm.
Sandy and I did this today, went
Yeah.
to visit someone, and just to have that, I would. So I'm hoping in one of these boxes yet. So, you know, but it's almost like it's Christmas at times because I'm opening and unwrapping them
Hmm.
and I'm going, oh, this made it. I'm so happy that, this made it. But I guess, I try to explain to the kids sometimes that that word joy, I just want to say that that word joy um sticks with you, and no
Hmm.
matter the circumstances,
Yeah.
and you can tell the verse they ought to look at for that. It doesn't depend on your circumstances, whether you're content, those words that you were saying
Hmm.
before. um I know what it's like to seriously just have the clothes on your back.
Yeah. Wow.
um we lived with my son for and his wife for a couple months, and then
Hmm.
I was in my first apartment on the 3rd floor of a beautifully
Hmm.
renovated apartment in town, and I remember saying to the 7th grade students, "Guys, aren't you gonna be so excited for your first apartment? Won't
Yeah.
that be awesome?" "Yeah," and I said, "That's what I'm gonna do when I walk up those stairs. I'm gonna just put my bag on, act like I'm 20 something."
Yeah. Moving into
This
your
is
new apartment
moving into my new apartment,
temporarily.
yeah, because I knew when I went back to school, those kids were gonna be watching,
Oh yeah.
you know, um,
Hmm.
how's Mrs. Dowdy going to be after
Hmm.
this? So,
How would you
you
say
know,
that? I think James talks about, and I've experienced this in my life the last few years, in different ways than yours. But James talks about how like trials really test us and refine us and build our character and
absolutely.
allow us to become more perseverant. Even as a track coach, right? You
Mhm,
probably
yep,
teach endurance and perseverance, some of those
yep,
things naturally. But
yep,
like, how have you seen the Lord? Like really build, what has he done in your own life that you see him kind of building? Does that make
yeah,
sense? Even as your home's
yeah.
being built, what is he building in you
Because
and in
we're
your
works in
family?
progress, right?
Totally, totally.
So, I mean, you I I come from a family who have always handed things down.
Mhm.
So losing those pieces,
Hmm.
it felt sorry, it felt like I was disappointing them in a little way.
Mm.
And I'm sentimental because of losing my parents. So I want to hold on to things. But,
Mm.
he taught me that it's not those things. It's I don't need to have those things because I lost a lot of, you know,
Mhm.
lost a lot of things. Sorry, guys. Um, but I don't need to have those things
Hmm.
to keep those memories
Hmm.
and that love. It just stays with you. So
Hmm.
even though I'm crying, um,
Yeah.
because it's still hard, but
Mm.
um, but you know, we have Mrs. Leaf does a great job. She comes in for a week every year and teaches about grit.
Hmm.
And I tell the kids, guys, my phone could ring and it could be a life-changing phone call. It could be something good. It
Mhm.
could be something not so good.
Yeah.
And if we all live long enough, you're going to come across a time like that. And
Mhm.
you've got to have grit. We've got to have that perseverance. And so definitely our family, I think, and community, just the
Mm.
strength. it was just overwhelming how everyone, um,
Mm.
came together to support us. The kids had a hat day, and raised money that way at school for us. We had people come to my son's home and bringing us things that
Mhm.
night. I mean, people coming, and not overwhelming us, just, hey, we heard what happened here. And,
Mm. Yeah.
um, you know, we've always tried to do our best to give to
Mhm.
others, and to have be on the receiving end is
Mhm.
really, um, you know, everybody kept saying, we would say, okay, we're gonna pass this on, you know,
Yeah.
when we're able to, we'll pass this on. So,
Mm.
yeah, just yeah, definitely was a trial to try to that I'm like trying to figure out everything that God wanted to show us through this.
Mhm.
And some people would say, "Oh, you don't deserve that." Well, nobody deserves
Mm-mm.
that. Nobody
No.
deserves that. But there's something behind it. There's
Mhm.
something behind it. I said, who knows? Maybe somebody at that apartment we stayed with, maybe there was something for some reason I needed to be there,
Yeah.
because I like to make connections with people, so of course I made connections with people in the
Totally.
apartment there. Or, um, you know, if someone else maybe would have purchased that particular
Mm.
turkey fryer set,
Yeah, could have been them.
it could have been them, and they could have maybe, you know,
Yeah.
it could have been worse, or maybe they wouldn't have been able to, have the joy or the contentment,
Mhm.
as you go through it. But yeah, it was just like, as long as we're all okay, I'm good with
Mm.
having the clothes on my back,
Totally.
you know.
Well, I appreciate
So
your tears, I think.
yeah,
I think
sorry
they
about that.
show no, but thank you for allowing us to enter in just to the grief,
Yeah,
right? There's a
it
reality
is
of
grief.
loss, and I
Mhm.
think all of us, every person who lives on this earth,
Yeah.
not every person has lost their home to a fire, but every person has experienced, some type of loss, like in
Absolutely.
your life. And
Yep.
so, even as you're listening here, and yeah, thanks for being a part of this journey with us today on this episode and hearing Mrs. Dowdy's
Yeah.
story. And I think maybe consider like either what is that loss for you that you just need to have the freedom, whether it's to talk to God or talk to a friend and say, like, I'm just sad. Like,
Mhm.
I miss this person, or I miss this thing, or I thought I was going to have success in this thing, but it felt like a failure. Like, you just feel this sadness or this grief. I think we all can
Mhm.
really relate to that. And the second
Mhm.
question is maybe what's something that you're holding on to too tightly. I know sometimes for me, I hold on to things of this world way too tightly. And the reality is, when they're gone, over time, I'm typically reminded that that's not the thing that's worth holding on to. Like,
Yeah. That's
we're
very
really
no.
here. The one thing that will never change is that we're made for heaven, and so everything here is going to
Yep.
pass away eventually.
Yep.
But we're made to be with Him, and so the one thing that we can be sure of is that our security really comes from a relationship with God. And so, if that's something that you want to talk more about, just reach out. But it's also, relationships matter,
Yeah.
and what I heard from Mrs. Dowdy's story also is that the first thing that she grabbed wasn't a thing.
Yeah. No.
The instinct of the keys and wallet happened, right? That
Yeah.
muscle memory, but
Yeah.
really the first thing that she grabbed was her people.
Yep.
And so her grandchildren, to say, like, this
Mhm.
is what I want to keep close to my heart. It's not the phone charger. It's not it's really my people. And so what
Yeah.
does it look like to really see everything in my life? You've challenged me. But just to see the things in my life
Mm.
as gifts from
Yes.
God,
Yes.
and
Oh, yes.
and so there's just so much I feel like you've spoken into us today. I'm inspired, but not in a way of like, here's a gold star, but you're just, you're
Right.
walking it
Yeah.
out with your family, with your community, with your Lord. And so I would love to give you the freedom to even, just anything else that you want to share as we close out this particular episode. I'm really grateful for you
Well, I
opening up.
think
I think you're going to impact a lot of people just through what you
yeah,
shared.
I think it's just so amazing. I'm gonna let you have this paper that I had made a few notes on, but
Sure.
just for example, "This world is not home." I had written that on this paper as,
And we
like,
hadn't discussed that, had
we
we?
had not discussed that.
Yeah.
I just think, um, you know, uh and like you said, we're works in progress.
Hmm.
I had written down about the trials
Wow.
producing the character that
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy, and we had not shared this.
No.
I had
Yeah.
not
That's
shared this
definitely
paper
got
with
there.
you
Yeah.
before, so you really hit a lot of the things that I really wanted to talk about. But I really saw, I mean, I saw firsthand how God can take ashes. I I
Hmm.
I walked through the ashes.
Yeah.
I walked I dug through the ashes.
Literally.
I dug through. I My husband said, they're gonna need to come and take the house down. And I
Hmm.
said, I just need a few more days. I want to go through it a couple more times, and I would seriously overturn every single thing just to
Hmm.
see. Um, we did find that dolphin.
You did? The blue
Yes,
dolphin?
we did. It was downstairs here. It
You're
was
serious.
on the couch under a blanket. And
What?
it was, yeah, I'm not kidding you. That
Under
was
a blanket
under a
in the
blanket.
basement.
She'd been apparently, yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
and that meant so
Yep.
much to
Yep.
her.
Yep.
Wow.
And the pink one we couldn't find. She'd won them at the fair
Okay.
and been
Yeah.
carrying these dolphins around with her. The pink one we couldn't find, and I didn't lie to her and tell her, "Oh, we found the other one." But someone shared one of my Facebook posts, and a family, the Hurlis family from
Mm.
Van Wert, their twin girls had won those same pink dolphins, and she brought one to the school for her. And I said,
That's so cool.
when I gave it to her, I said, "This is not that one, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah." I mean,
That means a lot.
yeah,
Hmm.
it was just really amazing. But yeah, to walk through the ashes and now here to be in this home, and
Hmm.
sometimes I feel I need to be more grateful for it,
Hmm.
because sometimes you know, uh, those Facebook memories pop up.
Oh, it's true.
Facebook, it'll say, "We thought you'd enjoy seeing this memory today." Well,
Not that one.
yes, but
Yeah.
oh darn,
Yeah.
there's that. Oh, I loved our house. I
Hmm.
did. We had just totally redone the basement.
Yeah.
Seriously, just a couple months before, and
Huh.
so excited about it, and but just so thankful for God providing us with being able to have a new home, because
Hmm.
you know our insurance coverage was not up to what it should have been, and with the prices at the time,
Yeah.
it was, and the bank will only loan you so much money to cover the gap. So
Totally. Yeah.
it was like, are we even going to be able to build,
Hmm.
and keep this? So
Hmm.
yeah, God, totally could see him working through so many different people
Hmm.
who helped us.
You can't do life alone.
You
Some
can't.
of us, we try so hard. It's
Yeah.
like it's so much easier sometimes. I think you're right, just to
Yeah.
want to like give and want to help, and that's good. Like that, we want to have hearts of
Yeah.
generosity, but when we're in a position that it's like, wow, I actually
Mhm.
am in need, and
Yes.
need to receive, not
Yep.
just me but my family, and it's pretty humbling, isn't
Yeah,
it? When it's like
it
I don't
is.
have a lot to offer right
It
now, even
is.
emotionally.
Yeah.
When we go through trauma and hard things, sometimes it's like my heart wants to help you, but I don't even have a lot emotionally to give
Yeah.
because I just am in a space of healing. And so I pray that for
Yeah.
you and for your
Yeah.
family, and just that yeah, just that the Lord would continue to really help you to experience healing,
Yes.
but not rush you
Heal.
past, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so what's it look like to even for him to heal those spaces as you continue to open boxes? You definitely have that coming between now and Christmas.
Yep.
More and more
Yep.
gifts to open.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining
You're
me on the
welcome.
podcast. This has been an adventure.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah, and just really care a lot about you.
I appreciate that.
And so this is a priceless backstory, right? Your story is priceless. And I want to say thank you for joining us in this episode, and have a wonderful week. And remember, stay priceless.